let me just start with this. You have lived a big life, from your father to the jobs. You have been all over, television. You feel like you're 50, and I don't even know, what are you, 38, 39, 40 years old? Do you ever tire, Lane? Would you just like to be able to put a hat on, put your head down? Do you feel sometimes exhausted by as often as you're talked about?
I hadn't really thought about it that way, Colin, but yeah, there are times like that, where you just I put a hat on anyway most of the time, but where you just want to be normal. But it all depends on where you live too. I think that being back out here like Manhattan Beach, I think it's a lot more like that, where people kind of just leave you alone and you do your own deal. And I think and Boca is definitely like that for sure. Someone asked me that same type of question. I said I can go the whole day here in Manhattan Beach and get stopped maybe by two people, that say something. If you're in more of a football-driven place like in Alabama, I was there 3 years. I don't think I even went to a grocery store. So because you'll be there for 2 hours, and there'll be a line of pictures and stories and everything, which is great because they're so passionate about the football program, places like that. But you're not going to be normal, so it is what it is.
It's funny. I don't remember the last few games Alabama played before you got there. But obviously, when you were there, you won a bunch of games and titles, and then when you left for that one game, they lost. So I don't remember what it was like just before you got there. I know what happened the game you left; they lost. So how would you sum up Alabama to you? Despite you and Nick's relationship, and it could be great, I have no idea. How do you look back at Alabama now?
Well, I always, when you leave a place, whether you're fired, whether you go somewhere else, I think I always look at coaches and how did they leave it compared to when they got there. That's you're getting paid to make the program better, and so I think we did that. When I interviewed with Coach Saban over 3 years ago, they had just lost the last two games, the Iron Bowl with the kick, and then had gotten beaten in the Sugar Bowl by Oklahoma. He said, we're on a 2-game losing streak, and our offense is right now, I think he said, like a Ferrari. I feel like it's going off the edge of a cliff. Like, we've got to change something. And it was nothing against coaches, anything like that. I think that was his, and he was on it, going faster, more tempo, playing like the teams that are beating people at that time. So I think we did that. We won 3 SEC championships, 3 SEC Offensive Players of the Year, and had a good run. When we left, I think we'd run 26 straight or something. So yeah, it was a great marriage, and it worked. Unfortunately, wasn't there for that last game, and very close game, could have went either way. But it is what it is, and it was a great time and some great stories.
If you take out the 2 Ole Miss losses, and considering they cheat, we'll just erase those. So you basically went.
Those come off, and we went 40-1.
Yeah. By the way, and you led that last loss with 6 seconds to go. So it was a hell of a run. It's funny when you look at Pete and Saban. The optics are they're totally different people. But I could make the argument that the 2 greatest college football coaches in the last 20 years are Pete and Nick. And some would argue Urban Meyer. It looks like Nick and Pete are total opposites. Are they?
They are. And that's a question obviously gets asked a lot. And whenever I was there, I said, they said, okay, well, you're firing your head coach and all these things. I said, I don't look at it like that. I'm whatever when I got there, 38 years old or something like that. And I'm working for arguably, like you just said, 2 of the best coaches in the last 20 years of college football, and maybe 5 of the best ever. And to be their coordinators at that young of an age has been awesome, and what a great experience. 6 years with Coach Carroll, and then 3 with Coach Saban. Shoot, that's 9 years of the best education you could possibly get. So they are polar opposites by the way that they manage things, deal with things. But why do they both win? Because they both have a philosophy and they have it nailed. And they both would tell you it doesn't happen overnight. Pete, you said, he got fired from 2 jobs, and it kind of all came together for him, and he kind of nailed it. And very different, but they have it nailed. So every situation that comes up, they know their answer for it, and it's not going to change. Their answers may be very different, but they have them. The players know it, the coaches know it, and that's why they're so great.
So of the two, you obviously have a great deal of respect. And you're telling me when I ask you about what they do, they have theories on what works. So have you taken more of Nick's or Pete's? Now you've had both.
Well, I think, again, that's why it's been so unbelievable to have both opportunities. I think it's right down the middle. I think you take some of both. And I think when you're young, too, you try too much. And when you first get a head job to just, I got to be who I just left. So I left Pete, so I got to be like Pete, and that doesn't really work. You've got to be yourself, but you take things from the people that you work for. So it's why I think I'm in such a better place now of managing situations and doing things, because not like I'm going to do this because this is what Pete did. No, this is what I really think, but I'll go back to this is what Coach Carroll would do, this is what Coach Saban would do, and then figure it out.
Lane Kiffin. Lane, you were always known as a profoundly good play caller and a terrific recruiter. And I don't know if you had any connection to Sam Darnold, who, I'm not a football expert, but he looks really good to me. It's funny here in Southern California, even though Alabama, it's almost suffocating the love for the program. USC loves football too, but there's a lot of options here. Clay Helton is a guy that's been passed over a lot. He's not flashy. He's not glamorous. His dad was a football coach. Could I make the argument that USC provides so much glamour and there's so many, it's just all history and glamour and the city and the recruits. Could I make an argument that Clay Helton, who people would say kind of doesn't even have a brand, may be a perfect fit for USC?
I think you're right. I think you're exactly right. I think that Clay and this will sound crazy, but Pat Hayden and I had a number of discussions, when he was kind of narrowing down his choices of guys and stuff. And I thought Clay would do a great job, because it isn't about winning the press conference, and as you get older, you learn that. Yeah. It's about what he's going to do day to day. And you're right. Clay's not flashy at all. But Clay is a wonderful person, one that the players will play with great passion for. He worked for me, obviously, so I got to see him recruit. He's a really good recruiter.
Oh,
he's a great recruiter with the parents, because they say, okay, this is someone that I want to raise my son for the next 4 years. And so the kids maybe don't look at it that same way about, okay, I want to go to someone that's raising it. Maybe they want more flash, but like you said, SC has that. So the flash is there. Now you've got a coach that's a great fit with the players and with parents and stuff. So I think it's a great fit. Yeah. And they signed him. And I remember, Sark saying when we were getting, he was out visiting us before we hired him, and he's like, I'm just telling you, the backup, be ready, because he's going to play in the game in the opener, and the guy's probably going to be a top 10 pick someday. And yeah, it looks like he's going to be right.
Yeah, he may be the number one pick in about a year from now.
And so speaking of him, I was watching the combine with my son a couple of nights ago, and it really is I said this to somebody, it's amazing what a great job Sark did of evaluating and signing players. When you look at the last class of guys or the early class that just came out of juniors that are in the combine right now from USC, and then look at Washington, how loaded that class is. I think three of the 4 DBs are at the combine right now. Really, between those 2 years there, did an unbelievable job.
Lane Kiffin, now the coach at Florida Atlantic, and they just had, in a very short time, their best recruiting class ever with Lane. Now, I got up my staff. We found this Florida Atlantic recruiting video, and I said, I don't understand. Lane looked, so I'm going to play 8 seconds of it, and I want to play the 8 seconds, because my staff says, you got to ask Lane about this, because we know Lane's a great recruiter. Here's play 8 seconds of it, Goulet.
Hey, Owl Nation, this is Coach Kiffin. What an exciting time. Next week is National Signing Day, as we sign some of the best players in America.
Sure, you listen to the background music.
Some of the best fans.
Yeah, first of all, you
like the background music?
No,
too?
I don't love it. So what the hell happened?
Well, we had a really good marketing idea. We said if we just put out a normal, excited video, hey, come to FAU, it's going to be a great signing class, buy season tickets. really nobody's going to really play that outside of probably Boca. So let's do like the worst one ever, so then everybody will put it on TV and say, look how bad this is. And then all of a sudden we got publicity for the program. And you got all kinds of people looking up FAU that don't even know what FAU is at the start of the day.
Well,
pretty good, huh?
That's a pretty interesting marketing idea. I never really thought about it that way. But
you're talking about FAU, aren't you?
Yeah, we did for 2 days. Well, I wish you the best. Boca's a heck of a lot of fun. It really is a beautiful place in America. You just had a very good recruiting class, and I mean, it's really a remarkable thing. It's people see life differently. You have had the opportunity between your father, Sark, Carroll, Saban, you have worked, Kirby Smart, you have worked with some of the smart young guys, the veteran old guys, and it's, do you ever talk to Pete Carroll, by the way?
I do, yeah. Yeah, we usually talk a little more coming up here towards the draft, too, about the SEC players, Alabama players, because he does an awesome job of research. Took one in the second round last year. I got a question for you, Colin. So I'm getting ready to start these sand dunes right here at Manhattan Beach.
Ooh.
I want to know what's the most you've done, and have you actually ran to the top without stopping?
Yes, you're at the it's the Manhattan Beach Sand Dune Park. I did it.
It looks really hard.
Oh God, it's just brutal. But you got to remember, I'm 50, so I ran up it, I came down. I ran up it a second time, came down, and then I walked it. So I went up. Yeah.
So if I get 3, I beat you.
Oh, yeah, and you will.
Okay.
Yeah, by the way, you will be sore tomorrow morning. Let me guarantee you that. Lane, good luck to you, man.
All right, thanks, Colin. Have a good one.
All right, good stuff, Lane Kiffin.